Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of The Shooting Show. We certainly want to welcome you to today's program. I tell you what, friends, we've reached another impasse, and I hope it's not, but this could be our last shooting show for a while simply because we run out of money. Those of you that have supported our program, we want to tell you how much we appreciate it. And listen, we're going to go on with our Gun Owner Rights Association, and if we have to go off the air now, if we do, and hey, if you're seeing this, we're on the air tonight. But if we do have to go off the air, we're going to continue with our GRA, we're going to continue with our newsletter, we're going to continue with our radio program. And friends, it's just very expensive, and so many. This book right here is called the 20th Annual SHOT Show book, Shooting, Hunting, Outdoor Trade Show. There are about 1,500 companies in here, most of whom do not understand advertising on television, or certainly they only want to advertise with their core group. Many of them are afraid to reach out to people that are outside the boundaries of the standard shooter or the standard hunter. And, given time, if we can grow, we can get to some of these folks and get them to work with us. Very few of them have, but the vast majority of them don't even understand what this is about. You have manufacturers here that they're not shooters. A lot of them aren't. Some of them are basic conservative hunters, maybe. They don't want to get involved in politics. They don't understand. They're too busy to keep up with what's going on in Washington or in their state government regarding gun legislation. And they simply don't want to be bothered. And they say, well, it's okay. We'll get along. The NRA will take care of us, whatever. We pay the NRA. That ain't getting it, friends. That ain't getting it. And no little play on words there. It is not winning. You know what? And our program is not about bashing the NRA. But we've got to say some things. I did a radio show a few days ago, and one of our callers called in and was arguing with me on what a great job the NRA had done. And there are some other gun groups out there also that I don't think are doing their job. Because here's the deal, friends. To quote Ross Perot, I've got my little chart here. Here's the deal. We're losing the fight to keep our guns. We're losing our fight. Now, wait a minute. There are 2.8 million members in the NRA. You realize that's over 1% of the population in the National Rifle Association. Over 1%. We have a population of approximately 265 million people. Over 1% belongs to the NRA. That's a large group, friends. A large group to belong to one outfit. A large group. With $200 million a year as a budget. With a national center there in Washington, D.C., all kinds of museums and things, fundraisers throughout the country, Friends of the NRA banquets where they raise thousands and thousands of dollars per occasion. Heck, in Shreveport, the last one that I actually assisted on, which was several years ago before I got so disgusted with them, heck, we raised $60,000 for the NRA one night locally in Shreveport. Shreveport, Louisiana, small town, USA, smaller town. My goodness, with all that money, with all those people, and 2.8 million members, why are we losing this battle? Why are we losing? I'm saying there are people in Washington that are not shooters, that don't understand what this is about, that we cannot fix their organization. We can't, nothing I can do about it. Given time, our Gun Owner Rights Association will probably make them a better organization, because I talk to people every day from all around the country that are so angry with what the NRA is doing, or what they're not doing. Let's put it that way, what they're not doing. Now, friends, let's analyze this, and I've got to say some really important things here, because this could be our last television program unless we get some help. It could be our last TV show for a while. If we go off the air, we're going to try and get back on the air. I don't know how long it'll take. It may take 6 months, may take a year, maybe never. I don't know. But we're going to try. You're not defeated until you quit, and we're not going to quit. If somebody out there could help us with a few $1,000s, it would be hugely helpful. I have spent about all I have, and I'm pretty heavily in debt. So what? So what? It's a small price to pay for our gun rights, for our country's liberty, and I'm personally not asking for sympathy. I don't care. Hey, look, I told Leroy Scott some time ago, said, Judge, I don't know if we can make it work or not. I'm going to the mat with it. And we have been on the mat a number of times. And a number of times, those of you out there have come through to help us. I hope you will this time. I hope so. Because I want to be on again next week. I want our gun issues to be on again next week. I want Leroy Scott on next week. I want to keep getting this message out because you know what? Friends, every time the shooting show airs, we are thumbing our nose saying, hey, you anti-gun socialist liberals, we're on TV. We're standing up. And you can't stop us. That's what we're telling them every time we're on the air. And I want to continue that. What we're telling is organizations like the NRA, hey, you people with your millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, you're not on TV. What's wrong with you? The NRA could finance our whole television network because we have to reach people on television if we're going to turn this mess around. And it is a mess. It has to be turned around. Remember our poster from last week, what happened down in Australia? You saw that drag line that had all those guns in the claws there, all those destroyed guns from Australian hunters. Hey friends, it's not about hunting, it's about personal defense. Tell me something. If you get in an argument with somebody over why we should ask permission from the federal government to buy guns, whether it be a revolver or automatic, semi-automatic shotgun or semi-automatic rifle, whatever, even a single shot, why we should ask them permission. We give the government permission to check out our past histories, whatever it may be. Name one, and I mean one, division of the federal government. Just name one that we admire and respect. Name one. Not 2, 3, 4, 5. Name one. Do you respect the IRS? Do you respect the FBI after what they pulled, assisted on at Waco and Ruby Ridge? Do you respect the FBI after their ridiculous investigation in Oklahoma City or non-investigation in Oklahoma City? Do you respect them? Do you respect the Supreme Court with some of their decisions? Do they really feel like us? Do you respect the executive branch? Do you respect Bill Clinton? Do you respect Al Gore? Do you respect so many of these goofy congressmen? Do you respect them? I don't think so. And yet we're having to ask permission from the government for the first time in American history, asking permission to buy guns. Something's wrong, terribly wrong with this picture. Just who in the government do we respect and admire that we would ask, are we doing it out of respect or are we doing it out of fear? What's it about? Are we having to ask them because of fear, not because of respect? I'm saying that we don't have to fear our government. We don't have to, friends. We can take this thing back. The only area of government, you have the judicial branch, the court system, you've got the executive branch, Bill Clinton's crew in the White House, and you've got the legislative branch. All right, that's where we can still make our voices heard. And it can be done, friends. If we give up, if we roll over, it won't be done. But some of us are not going to quit. Will you join us? Will you join our GRA? Can you help contribute something? $50, $500, $5,000, whatever you can do to help the shooting show stay on the air. We really believe if we can get our GRA underway, and a few people are joining, we really appreciate you more than we can ever say. Our newsletters, in fact, are going out this week. If you can contribute to help us stay on the air, please, friends, this may be our last program. And every time I've come to you and told you that, that's where it was, and we're here again. If we can get our GRA, if we can get our membership rolling, we can get some momentum going, we'll have enough money to do the things we need to do to educate more Americans. That's why we're here. If you can help us, please join our GRA. Please contribute to the shooting show, 327 Irvin Rowland Road in Duberly, Louisiana. The zip code is 71024. If you can help us. I hope this is not our last show. It may be. As of today, I don't see how we can be on next week. But we're going to try. If we get a few checks in this week, we get enough put it together, we're going to continue trying. That's how we've been here. Some people say, boy, Johnny, you shouldn't get on there and ask for help. Why not? That's how we've been here these 8 years. And no one else has been on television with a pro-gun program where they talk about legislation. That's how we've done it. Hey, I don't have any pride. Forget that. My pride is in our country, in our heritage, in us as individuals. My pride is in who we are as character. That's what it's about, friends. Very important here. 1% of the population, right, in the NRA. All right, let's look at a group that we aren't too fond of looking at. But let's see a comparison here, brief comparison. All right, the homosexual group in our society is less than 1% of the population. The homosexuals don't have stores that cater to them, such as we as gun owners do. They don't have hunting equipment stores, or they don't have things like that. They don't have all kinds of publications out there in droves, the hunting and shooting magazines. They don't have that. They don't have, as far as I know, a national center and huge numbers of people around the state supporting them. Homosexuals, by and large, are a very unpopular group here in the United States. You got more people against the homosexuals than you do against gun owners, way more. Look what they've done, less than 1% of the population. The Attorney General of the United States, Janet Reno, is homosexual. Donna Shalala, heading an important government agency, their cabinet-level job in Washington, Donna Shalala is a homosexual. All right, she even brought her partner, whatever, to her confirmation hearing. You try and fire somebody because they're homosexual. You see about it. You try, if a homosexual gets hurt, they've gone a long way toward getting special rights for homosexuals. Very unpopular with the mainstream America, but hey, that's what they've done. They've got Hillary and Hillary and Bill in the White House supporting them. Look, friends, they've got no Second Amendment. Yet look what they've done, because they're trying. They're standing up for who they are, be it right or wrong. Look what they have done with less than 1% of the population. There is no anti-homosexual statute anywhere on the books. Won't be long. If they find out about it, there won't be an anti-homosexual statute. Look how many anti-gun statutes. We have the Second Amendment. Why are we losing this battle? You see, the homosexuals have turned the media to their favor. Even they had this show, Ellen, on television here for a while, and even the Disney company, they made fun of 16 million Southern Baptists, made fun of them. Now, they got stopped too. They got taken off the air, but still, they were on, and they have turned the media to their advantage. My gosh, you let some homosexual get hurt, you're going to have news crews for days out there on site. Now, I'm not making a judgment on homosexuals. This is how it is. This is how it is. Less than 1% of the population. Look what they have managed to do. Now then, let's look at another group. Let's look at another 1% of the population. We had a call last week from someone from the Navajo tribe. And I want you to know how much we appreciate you watching our program, because I kind of have a special place, certainly in my heart and mind, for the plight of the American Indian, or Native Americans. And some call themselves Indians, some call Native Americans, but certainly that is a group that has been terribly. You want to know how well the government keeps its promises? Ask a Native American Indian tribal council. Ask some Native Americans on treaties, on how they were compromised on the reservations, on how they were lied to. And the people would leave the tribal meetings and leave the peace treaty meetings and go back to Washington, and the story was altogether different. And when the controls came back, and you know, the government kept saying, look, you Indian folks, you put down your guns and you move here on the reservation, we're going to take care of you. And look what they've done. Look what they've done to a proud people that was here in the United States before the Europeans were. Look what they've done. They've cooped them up on reservations, many times being underfed, mistreated, terrible situations. You see, friends, we welcome. Listen, if there are Native Americans out there, you have a friendly hand here, friends. You won't be second-class citizens in the Gun Owner Rights Association. You want to join us, we'll be tickled to death to have you, because this is a fight for all Americans, for our freedom. Not just for gun rights, but it's for our freedom, because we lose these guns, friends, and it becomes police state city. There's nothing we can do. You can take your little sign down there and wave it around and say, I want my freedom, I want my freedom. And then you'll have somebody with a rifle barrel come up and point in your chest and say, you better get back on that sidewalk. And you'll have to say, ooh, yes, sir, Mr. United Nations, policeman, sir. Yeah, that's what we'll be doing. Now, that's what it's about, friends. Let's look more. What happened, see, the Indians or Native Americans, take your choice, whatever you want to refer to this fine group as. Okay, they were between 2 and 3 million people. That's who they are now. Close to 1% of the population. But what happened when the greedy, lying people from from the government came out, and the greedy business interests came out. See, they weren't organized. They were people living free all over the country. They were people living in their own tribes, and they weren't in communication too much with each other. Each man lived, each tribe was its own free entity. Okay, they weren't organized and they weren't in communication. So what happened? People with, many times, the guns that came over here with Europeans were inferior to a bow and arrow as far as number of shots. They were very inferior in many ways, but they weren't organized. Whereas the settlers came in and they were organized. They were. And you can't say it's anything about intelligence, because the Indians come from the Asian folks, and the Asians are as intelligent as any group of people on earth. Okay. They weren't organized, and what happened? They got overrun. Now we see what happened when they did get organized, when Custer went out there, and you know, General George Armstrong Custer was kind of a bad actor. He had burned Indian villages and killed defenseless Indian women and children. Now he did it. You look in the history book. George Custer did it. But when the Indians got organized and they banded together and they said, we're going as a unit and we're going to go out and fight Custer, they not only fought him, they ended Custer's career. Now, I'm sorry, there were some fine people on Custer's campaign, but Custer was a bad actor in many ways, especially the Indians. They were people too, and they treated them like animals. Now, if you want to see what happens when we're all out here, and well, I'm gonna hunt my deer, and I'm gonna not bother anybody, and them people in Washington, they can just stay up there, and I won't bother them, they won't bother me. Friends, you're wrong. We as gun owners are now being forced on the reservation. We're having to get permission from the great evil father in Washington to own guns here in this country. And I don't think there's anybody out there that will say it's a great white father in Washington. Forget that. We've got a great evil in Washington and New York, the United Nations, who right now, the State Department, Billary, they're working exclusive. They're working for the United Nations. You know what? At some point, those of us living now, and it may not be very long, we may get to talk to our grandchildren through the bars or through the fence, and we'll say, you know, it wasn't always like this when we're in prison. It's formerly free citizens, and we're in prison. And you can say, you know, kids, back before we were the United Socialist States of the New World Order, back when we were still the United States of America, people used to be free, but we let it slip away. Now, that's where we are, friends. That's where we are. Will you stand with us? Will you help us stay on the air? That's why this program is so dangerous. It's so dangerous to the anti-gun people, because we're telling the truth. And the media now is so stacked against us, friends. They're controlled by the New World Order big money interest. They're controlled by the corrupt politicians in Washington. They're controlled by the socialists, by the one world government people. And yet here we are. Hey, we can buy more TV time. We're here. You're seeing us on TV now. We can get on more cable companies. We can get on the little dish if we had the money. And those organizations that have the money, well, I can't do anything about that. I know they're not doing what we need them to do. We as gun owners, we as free Americans, they're not doing it. But we are. Our little tiny company here, this is our 8th year on the air. This word goes out all over North America, free to cable and local TV everywhere. When our shooting show is on in a local market, it does well without fail. Without fail. You'll have possibly a few anti-gun people call it because they're scared to death of us, friends. They're so scared because we're making sense, because we're telling the truth. We do well everywhere. Will you stand with us? Will you help us stay on the air? Can you contribute? Can you join our Gun Owner Rights Association? Please, let's put our address up there now. The Shooting Show, 327 Irvin Rowland Road in Dublin, Louisiana. Zip code is 71024. Can you help us? Will you help us? Please, friends, I don't want to tell, it's not me that wants to tell my grandchildren or my kids or anybody else, say, well, we used to be free. We used to be free. We let it slip away. Well, some of us aren't going to let it slip away. Right now, we're losing. Right now, we are losing. But we can turn this thing around. It can be done. We can do it. Will you please help us? Will you please help us? We're going to try, friends. That's all I can say. We do have a great show for you. Certainly, we'll be talking later in the program. I anticipate, I hope the judge can be on today. We have our water bottles out at 100 yards, and we have one of the great Kimber guns. I tell you, Kimber has been a huge help to us staying on the air, and we really want to thank them. Some of those folks watch our program every week, and we really want to say thanks because we're going to continue to sell these fine Kimbers, certainly continue to do what we can. This is an experimental load, one that I can't tell you about because it's in development now for the great Kimber, but it might make it a deer gun out at 100 yards. Very possible. Let's start off with this. By the way, we have the 22 conversion units. You can get it. You don't have to have an FFL for now. Don't have to go through a dealer. You can be sent the 22 conversion unit to your home there. If you have a 1911 type gun, I want to remind you that. We appreciate everyone who has helped, and I hope this is not our last program. Today it looks like it might be, but you know, we're going to hope that some of you out there will come to our aid and will pitch in and help. I hope you will. Well, let's get another shooting show underway, friends. We have some water bottles out here, and typically when we shoot one of these things out at 100 yards where we are now, it certainly knocks them over and lets the water out, but we may see something a little different today. Let's see how it looks. That reaction looked a little different from what we're used to out of a 1911, didn't it? Let's go on with our program. We're so glad to have you. Let's have another shooting show begin.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
Friends, here it is. This is the great Georgia Arms 45 DA Colt or double action Colt cartridge. This is the first major improvement on the Colt 45 since 1873. They have this in loaded cowboy ammunition. They're also selling brass, so you can load your own combinations. This cartridge case is absolutely a joy to work with. We're even seeing improved accuracy, we think due to the slightly larger rim on our 45 DA Colt case. You can get a free catalog, or you can order these from Georgia Arms, 1-800-624-6861 for their entire lineup, and please tell them you saw it here on our show. Now, friends, of course, the cowboy load is mild but super accurate. And of course, you can take your hand loads up to the limit of what the loading manuals will allow. The great 45 double action Colt cartridge from Georgia Arms. Give them a call today, friends. A free phone call with a free catalog.
And we want to remind you that Georgia Arms also makes the best rifle ammunition out there, and certainly for a whole host of handgun calibers. One thing I do want to mention, Georgia Arms has an extremely wide selection of cowboy ammo, 4440, 3840, which have been very difficult to find in the past, and it's at the best prices certainly I've ever seen from any company. Friends, please give them a call. They've been so great to support our program and get a free catalog. Trust me, we don't know what scheme the government's going to try and come with. There may become or may have an ammunition shortage in the pipeline. Who the heck knows? I would try and put some back if I could. Give them a call, 1-800-64-6861. Tell them you saw it on our show.
Now, friends, we recently looked at a couple of different types of black powder guns or muzzle loaders, and this is an inline muzzle loader with a stainless steel fluted barrel that uses a musket cap. This one here on your right, and of course on the left, is my old Hawken reproduction muzzle loader, and we'll be trying a variety of things today. We're going to compare the Pyrodex with the standard black powder, and we also have some of the Pyrodex pellets that we'll be loading and comparing for performance.
Now friends, we have some black powder loaded behind the 370 grain lead maxi ball. Let's see how our traditional gun does. Right here, protection in. Pull the set trigger. Get set. I tell you what, this old hard butt plate here. I think I'm gonna get my recoil pad, because that old brass, you know, from the bench, you always get more recoil. So, shoot a couple more times. Woo! Now we're running a 3-shot group with Pyrodex, which is a black powder substitute. I tell you what, the more I fool with this Pyrodex, the better I like it, because you don't get quite as much fouling. It's a little bit easier to clean up, and our group's looking pretty good. Let's try one more shot down there at the 100-yard range, and we'll compare when we start looking at targets. We'll compare the group size shot with black powder, same bullet, same charge. You use Pyrodex in a volume to volume charge. It doesn't weigh the same as black powder, but you use it volume to volume. So let's try this. Put our powder away from any explosion, any sparks or anything. You got to be careful with that stuff. Okay, let's do it. And really, shooting black powder, there was no need for a real fast reload, because you can't see anything after you shoot these things. Well, anyway, I tell you what, friends, the more I fool with this stuff, I can see what a great and huge advantage smokeless powder was, but they're still fun to fool with, and certainly great hunting guns. All right, let's take a look at our targets.
Now, friends, the group on the left was shot with standard black powder, the 370 grain maxi ball. Of course, realize we're a long way, we're 100 yards from that target. But you can see there are 3 holes in actually 3 shots in 2 holes there. And we'll get on up with our digital zoom, and it's not real clear, but you can see where the 2 bullets entered 1 hole. That's a 2-inch group, which is really the best that old gun's ever shot. This is the first time I've really shot it with Pyrodex. This group on the left is about a 6 or 8-inch group, and you see that this gun definitely prefers Pyrodex. That's about a 2.5-inch group there. So like I said, the more I fool with Pyrodex, the more I like it. Now, friends, here are a couple of things you cannot do without if you're a black powder shooter. One, it's this little gizmo here with the little wires. This screws in the end of your ramrod, and what happens when you will get a cleaning patch stuck down the bore, you will get one. you need this little gizmo here. You can run down the bore and turn it around there and pull out your patch. Now this is equally important. This is a bullet puller. This is a little screw thing, again, goes in the end of your ramrod, and it's a hard steel, and what happens, you will screw it into that soft lead and that bullet, and you will need to pull a bullet out. So these are a couple of essential things that you need for shooting black powder. Keeps your language a lot better too.
Now then, friends, we have several groups with our traditional gun. Let's try, and I tell you what, we're seeing better accuracy in my old gun with Pyrex than with black powder. So let's try the, and this is a, let's see what brand this is. My friend ordered this from Cabela's, actually. This is a Traditions lightning fire made in Spain, and if we don't get through this evening, we'll try in the morning. But let's see what this gun has. Very nice sights, very nicely made. Let's see what it'll do on some targets out here in comparison with the 370 grain conical bullets using the Pyrex pellets. And if I run out of pellets, I'll go to straight Pyrex, and the musket cap. Let's see the difference in how the two guns shoot using the same basic loads. Now, friends, it's getting later in the day, but I can still see my targets. And you know, it's amazing in lower light, as long as you can see, you can shoot pretty good sometimes. So this is the inline muzzle loader. We're going to use 3 pellets of 30 grains for a 90 grain total of Pyrex behind the conical bullet. Let's use some groups, but I want you to see this. It's getting later, and watch the flash from the muzzle cap. We always shoot wearing shooting glasses. No exceptions when we're out here on the range, and even hunting, it's a good idea with these things. Good idea anyway. And watch the, if you can see it, the flash from this much hotter musket cap. And let's see if we can get some groups on the way here for the inline muzzle loader. And it has a safety. Push our safety off. Yes, they do smoke. That's why they call them smoke poles. Get our spent cap out of there and pick up our other sandbag, and we'll continue shooting. All right, friends, this is so easy. We'll take our little Pyrex pellet here to reload with. Take 3 of them out, and they have a slightly darker end, and you want to put it toward ignition. Just drop them down the muzzle there. All right, that's 90 grains equivalent. Take our bullet, prelude bullet here. Push it down the muzzle where the ball started. And push it all the way down. You don't want any airspace. You want no airspace between the breech and the powder or the bullet, for that matter. You want it all close. Then we'll insert our muzzle, our cap there, and let's go back to the bench rest.
Stay tuned for more of the Shootin' Show after these important messages.
The Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
front of these great Kimber. This is our shooting show model, full size, the Johnny Rowlands signature model. Well, you can make those hits out there with a mirror at 100 yards, and
when you can make consistent hits on targets out at 200 yards,
well, just imagine how easy it would be at 25 yards. Or at defense range.
if you'd like to have one of our shooting show Kimbers, be it compact or the full-size model, or if you just want the best 1911 that money can buy at a very good price, the best factory production 1911 semi-automatic pistol ever built by any factory, give us a call here at the program, 318-377-5189, or you can write to us, send an FFL, we can wholesale these guns. Send an FFL to the Shooting Show, 327 Irvin Rowland Road in Doberly, Louisiana. The zip code is 71024.
Now let's take a look at the results. It got so late we came back today to show you the groups that were shot with the black powder guns. Here we have the more modern inline gun, and of course my old Thompson Center Hawken reproduction. And we really found some surprising things here, friends. I was most surprised. We started off with our Thompson Center using black powder, double F, and for 3 shots with the 370 grain conical bullet, we got a 6.5 inch group. And we didn't take any time to zero our guns because we were shooting different loads. We just wanted them on paper. This was my aiming point, and this is where it hit. Well, that's, to me, is disappointing. Anytime you have a rifle that'll shoot 6 inch or so pie plate size groups at 100 yards, if we had a snub-nosed revolver, a short barrel revolver would be a little different, but I was certainly disappointed with that, and I have noted in the past it didn't seem to be terribly accurate. But here's what we found. We put the took the Powerdex load, and I've got it here somewhere. Here we go. I did the same load, replaced the black powder with Powerdex in my old Thompson Center, and look what it did. A 3-shot group of 2.4 inches, 2 actually, just 1 large hole there, with a 370 grain conical bullet. I'll tell you what, I'm becoming more and more sold on Powerdex. You don't get as much fouling, and that's the best this old gun's ever shot. My old Thompson Center there, 2.4 inches for the group. Now then, we also tried the Thompson Center with the 300 grain Sierra handgun bullet in a sabot or sabot, whatever how you want to say it. Sabot, I think, is probably correct, with an equivalent load of 100 grains of Powerdex with the sabot bullet, and it did a 3.2 inch group, so that is still very usable. Excellent deer load out to 100 yards because you're getting more velocity. Realize, friends, you can get in these old guns up to over 2,000 foot-pounds of muzzle energy depending on your load, and when that bullet gets there, it's so big and heavy that it definitely packs a wallop. Okay, we had took the inline gun here, and it didn't like those 370 grain conical bullets at all because I think it is more designed for the sabots, but with Powerdex, with 3 of the Powerdex pellets, it shot a huge group, not a usable combination. So we put the 300 grain Sierra pistol bullet behind that same 3 pellet load of Powerdex, and it did a 3.9 inch group, which is about as accurate as a shotgun with slugs. Now realize we had a limited number of loads that we tried, but I think this is going to be somewhat representative of what you may find. Now then, is there any particular advantage in the inline muzzle loaders? Well, the advantage is you can load the pellet, Powerdex pellets. It's easier to load in the field, it's simpler. But as far as accuracy and power, when loaded with equivalent bullets, using the old style in powder and put a cap on the ignition nipple there, I tell you what, we're just not seeing much difference. In other guns you may see more than in some, but it just depends on what you like. If you want something that looks a little more conventional, these inline muzzle loaders are fine, but don't feel like you're giving up anything if you have a traditional looking gun, because they'll darn sure shoot too. In this contest, this one came out on top. The next one it might not, but in this one it did.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you're enjoying our program today. You'll recognize my good friend Leroy Scott here, and I tell you what, this may be our last roundup for a while. We simply don't know. We ask that some of you out there who may be able, please help us if you can, because we will still have, even if we go off television, we'll still have our radio program, we'll still have our newsletter, but that's not enough to win this fight, is it, Judge?
No, I don't think so, Johnny. Well, of course, this can be the last one before the election, anyhow, isn't it?
That's true. And friends, I want you to see something. This is a Form 4473. This is a federal form that all of us have to fill out now when we purchase a gun. This actually came from the 1968 Gun Control Act, I believe. And when these forms were set out to the different dealers that we have to fill these out, they were said that these would never be used for registration. Remember what we talked about earlier in the show about our Indian or Native American friends, how they were always promised such fantastic things in the treaties. But the treaties, you remember what percentage of the treaties that the government made with the Indians was broken, Judge?
I think it was 100% of them.
100%. So we want to trust the same outfit in the future. I tell you what, it should make you angry. It should make your hair stand on end. It is nothing short of ridiculous.
Well, it's something else here, too. You got to remember the 1968 Gun Control Act came exactly, almost a verbatim translation from Hitler's.
From the Nazi Gun Control Act from the 1930s. Senator Dodd sent over to the Library of Congress, got a copy of it. In places, it's even in the same wording as the Nazis used it. Hey, Hitler's a hero to those folks. Hitler's a hero to the anti-gun people, friends, because they were so efficient. We had a civilized people, the German people, that were so efficiently herded like sheep down the path to destruction. That's why we're here today. If you can help us stay on the air, when we get our Gun Owner Rights Association, if we can gain some momentum, we can start getting more members, getting more people to help. Hopefully we'll be able to do a lot of things, but we're not there. And this may be our last program if we don't get some help. If you can send $5 or $50 or $500 or $5,000, if you can, if this matters to you, if what we're doing matters to you, please help us if you can, friends. Our mailing address, of course, 327 Irvin Rowland Road in Dubberly, Louisiana. We'll take checks, money orders. My goodness, you know, Federal Express can deliver those little packages, and we don't even have to, if we got some cash in, I don't believe I'd remember where it came from. Would you, Judge? We'd, of course, report it for the IRS, but, of course, but I just don't think I'd remember where that came from. Would you?
Well, not if you didn't look at the return address on the envelope.
You know, I just might throw it away without even looking. So if you're concerned about being linked to a pro-gun organization, well, and you still want to help, well, please send what you can, friends. You know, our country was not settled by people that were of, shall we say, restrained character. Our country was settled by people who were willing to stand up and be counted. You know, the people that came over here and carved out homes in the wilderness. And we talked about our Native American friends. You know, the one thing that was respected among the Indians or Native Americans or among the pioneers, you know what it was? It was courage. The one thing that was universally respected. And if we respect our country, if we respect our gun rights, some of us need to come with a little courage now. We can do it.
Stay tuned for more of The Shootin' Show after these important messages.
Shootin' Show will be right back after this break for your local cable company or TV station.
friends, here it is. This is the great 1919 Browning converted to semi-automatic from the good people at NWI. This is your chance to own a real piece of history. They're very collectible. They're also a lot of fun to own and shoot, and very reasonably priced, certainly for what you get. The 1919 Browning is from NWI. That phone number, area 503-429-5001. They also have the ammunition special still going on. 30-06 ammunition, only 18 cents a round, surplus in the belt. So give them a call today, NWI, for the great 1919 Browning conversion. Also remember, they have the A6 conversion with the shoulder stock and the bipod. But these are tremendous pieces of history, also great shooters. So give them a call today, the 1919 Browning from NWI, area 503-429-5001.
And friends, while we still can, you can call Tim about a few of the 50 Browning versions of these great guns he may still have in stock. They've been very hard to come by. He still has the ammunition deal going on. He has the shoulder stock model A6 version. Of course, you're looking at the A4 here in 30-06 chambering. Give them a call today. No one knows how long these guns will be available. They're very reasonably priced. Tim will even help you break up your payments if you'd like. So give them a call, area 503-429-5001, and please remember to tell them you saw it on our show.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we're over at Clark Custom Guns, their range, and we're visiting with a friend of ours, and you've seen him on the program before. This is Brent Tyson, and Brent, we appreciate you taking time to come out with us today.
My pleasure.
Well, Brent is a very fine shooter in his own right. In fact, in some time past, we had you and Renee. His wife Renee works here at Clark Custom Guns. And Brent, let's tell folks a little bit about, you just recently won an important title here in Louisiana.
Well, it was important for me, Johnny, because it's something I've been wanting to do for the last couple of years. I did manage somehow to become the Louisiana State Limited Champion for IPSC, and it's something I'm real proud of. And
well, you should be, because Louisiana here has some very strong shooters. I mean,
a lot of master class limited shooters in
right.
Louisiana. A lot of it's good competition.
So you should be proud of that. Now, you've won some other things too.
Well, I was the East Texas Section Limited Champion in '96 and then again in '98. And in '97, I was the limited champion for the Arkansas State Championship.
Well, which is an excellent record, friends. Now, of course, let's tell them also about Renee is a very fine shooter in her own right.
Right. She's an A-class, lady A-class shooter, very good, very strong shooter. And she's been the past state, this year she was the Lady State Limited Champion. And in the past she's been the Lady State Open Champion, also the Texas Lady Limited Champion, and this year the Texas Ladies Open Champion.
Which is a very difficult, because some of these women, I tell you what, they've gotten pretty darn good.
Yeah, there's some good ladies out there.
They really have. But what we're going to do, friends, we're going to show you a little bit. Of course, now Brent is what I would call a complete handgun shooter, because it doesn't matter if he has an IPSC gun, like we're going to show you in a few minutes, or a limited stock class gun, guns that, like our Kimber, that we shoot on the program all the time.
Exactly.
He will do well regardless of what kind of gun he's carrying. And today we're going to look at some of Brent's technique. We're going to take a look at his equipment, and he's going to just update us on the IPSC situation.
Right,
what's
just some of the equipment, some of the things that we use, some of the holsters, a few drills. We'll look at a few drills, and we'll tie it all in at the end with a little field course.
Well, a while back you saw Brent on our program. We did an IDPA match out here. We covered, and you know, I feel like I'm competent. You know, I know where the bullet comes out, and I shoot a little bit, and I'm pretty competent. And there were several of us in the group there that were going along pretty well. Well, Brent here was he wasn't hundreds of seconds fast. He was seconds faster than us, and I thought that was just excellent. It showed that you have practiced and showed some discipline on your part that you really have worked at it.
Right, I enjoy doing it, and I like to practice. Johnny, the type of gun I'm using here today, and I'll go ahead and pull my unloaded gun out of the holster to show everybody, is I'm using a limited class 40 caliber gun built on a Strayer Void frame. They call it SV for short, and it even says that right there on the grips. It's just a standard dust cover. It's pretty basic equipment. I've got a little mag well on here from, I can't remember who my mag well's from, but anyway, he was nice enough to give it to me. And I've got it really shaved down here to fit in the box for standard class IPSC. It's hard chromed and it's really slick. It's got some Accurels on it, and Clark's helped me put it together, along with another fella out of New York who did the Accurel. Type of magazines we're using here are, this is the actually STI 126 millimeter carry magazine. Holds 16 rounds of 40. Fits flush with the gun. I also happen to have the 170 millimeter magazine, which is legal for IPSC but not for your game IDPA, and it holds, the total round is round count's 19 for the gun, 19 of 40 caliber, and that's major. Some of the guys are getting 20 and 21 in them. I haven't figured out how to do it yet. Type of I'm using a complete Safariland rig. I've got a Safariland liner belt underneath my standard my 1 3/4 inch holster belt. I've got the latest Safariland holster. It's adjustable for limited, open, any length, down to as far as the rod will go. And I'm using 4 of the 771 speed mag pouches. When you see me shoot today, my bullets will be a little smoky because I'm using a 200 grain lead bullet, but the gun feels really good with them. I'm using bullseye powder, and that's kind of unusual nowadays because there's so many new powders, and I think bullseye is still really the best for most things. One other important piece of equipment I'm using today, Johnny, is the electronic timer. I don't know how people existed without these before. It's really neat. This particular one's made by the Pact company, and it's got a delay or instant. Once the timer goes off, it starts recording the shooting, and it'll tell you your draw, your split times, the time it takes you to reload your magazines. It's a really neat and useful piece of equipment, and whether you're a competition shooter or just a defensive shooter, any kind of shooter really, I think, could benefit from a timer. A good smooth draw, Johnny, is good for any kind of shooter, a competition shooter or a defensive shooter. The use of the speed holster will make it a lot easier for us, but the draw is the same no matter how you do it. It's got to be smooth. It's got to be crisp. There are 2 variations on the draw. Some advocate, especially with the stock gun where you're using the iron sights, some advocate where you draw the gun, bring it up to the center of your body, and push it out. That's a good way to start if you haven't learned the other way, which is, I call it the sloppy way, which is the way I do it. The gun comes out, and it just kind of goes to the target, and I catch the sight as it comes to the end of its movement.
Now, friends, I tell you what, Brent, that impressed me. That was quick.
That was 173 for 6 shots. The first shot was 93/100ths of a second.
What was the time on there, Brent?
2.50. Okay, that drill, Johnny, was a good drill. We ran that in 2.5 seconds flat with 4 alpha, 4A hits, and that's exactly what I want.
Now, Brett, you were saying under 3 seconds is a good time.
Under 3 seconds is a good rule for that.
We're over here and we see a target out here at about 40 yards, and you're about to shoot that, aren't you?
Yes, sir. I've had a few guys just maybe half jokingly, half serious tell me, well, you IPSC shooters, all you guys ever do is shoot those big old open paper targets up close. Anybody could do that. All you got to do is stick the gun out at them. Well, IPSC shooters have to be able to, or all action shooters for that matter, whether you shoot Bianchi Cup or bowling pins, have to be able to shoot accurately and quickly at the same time. So we'll do a build drill on this gong at 40 yards. .78 for 6 shots at 40 yards on the metallic gong.
We have some more footage of Brent Tyson, excellent shooter. We hope to get on. If we get on next week, we're certainly going to have him back. We want to recognize our support group, Steadcraft, a machine shop there in Torrington, Connecticut. Their number is area 860-496-7001. Have our friend Dennis Crocker, firearms trainer in South Carolina. To reach Dennis, you can call him at area 864-587-8722. And, of course, Dennis and Jeannie Ritchie with Custom Leather Work and Saddlery in Denham Springs, Louisiana. You can call them at area 504-667-9225. And Camouflage Technologies, the folks that paint those gun stocks, you can call them area 909-674-6488. And, of course, Clark Custom Guns for work on semi-automatic pistols and revolvers, area 318-949-9884. Flying Horse Galleries, the folks with artwork on the web, you can find them www.flyinghorse.net. And Bruce Warren with BC Armory there at East Leroy, Michigan. He works on pistols and revolvers. His number is area 616-729-5508. And we hope we have a gospel show on next week. We hope so, on G6, Channel 5 from 10 to 10:30 Eastern Time. And please remember our radio show on the American Freedom Network from noon until 2 o'clock on Sunday on SpaceNet 4, Channel 19, 5.82 audio. Well, friends, I tell you what, I don't know if this is our last roundup or not. We've never cried wolf here. When we said there's wolf outside, there's always been one. There's one there now. If you can help us, if you care about what we're doing, if it means enough for you to reach down in your pocketbook and help us on this project, if you can help us stay on the air, you have before, and I just hope there are enough people left that do care that we can survive and create a much better situation. I hope there is. Remember, we're on the radio from noon till 2 o'clock on Sunday on the American Freedom Network on SpaceNet 4, Channel 19, 5.82 audio. And certainly that's a great help to us, our radio program. We hope we see you next week. I guess we'll find out, but thanks so much for being there. And now, friends, we have some viewers in Idaho. The Schroeders are nice enough to send us a little home video of some of their personal guns. This is a twin SKS, actually, with a rotary firing device. And let's watch Ruth shoot these guns.
You're ready. Start cranking.